Hello and welcome back to the Kokino Podcast. Today I am once again going to talk about my past because for some reason my mom went to the library and she found one of these books that I used to read all the time when I was a kid. A children's book, that's what I'm going to talk about in this episode. It's a book called Roadbuilders by the author B.G. Hennessy. And it's like one of the books from my childhood. It's basically just shows you through, crude drawings, for like children's book style drawings, how they build a road, all the different tools they use, the backhoe, the bulldozer, the dump truck, every single one that they use. And then they show you the whole process. I remember when I read it as a kid, it would take me like hours to go through it because I just look at the pictures mostly. I don't think I even know how to read when I first read it. And I would just it felt like I was in another world when I was reading these kinds of books. But I read it recently, just now, today, and it took me like less than maybe 3 minutes to get through the whole thing. It's a pretty short book. And there's not much else I can say about it. The art is not that good looking, but I don't think that it's bad looking either. I think, when you drew a children's book, you don't necessarily want the art to be perfectly beautiful. I think that there's just kind of this, Charlie Brown level aesthetic to it, even though it's not really Charlie Brown-esque. Has some thick lines, has some, I don't know. It's decent and it's good and I like it. And I read it as a kid and I'm just going to keep talking about it because I don't know what else to talk about during this podcast. Who'd have thunk that I was interested in construction work as a kid? I wonder if that's something every kid is interested in. Because I really do like the look of machinery. Like, if you have like line art and you draw like a really well-drawn machine, like a bulldozer or something like that, with lines, it looks really cool. Like all the little details of it. That's like my favorite type of art. Or it's one of my favorite types of art. Like if you see that in the manga, it looks cool. I love like a very well-constructed, well-detailed line work. It's very beautiful and cool looking. But this book doesn't even have that, so I don't know why I'm talking about that. I mean, the lines are really thick. And there's not really a straight line in it. But, it has a good feel to it. It has a children's book feel to it. So that's all I have to say, I guess. This is a very, very short episode of the Kokino Podcast because I don't really feel like talking too much tonight. Oh, I forgot. I record these at night. It's the morning for you. This morning. So anyways, it's a pretty cool book. Actually, what's another interesting thing about it is on the front of it, you see the front of a truck driving towards you, and then if you turn it around, you see the back of the truck. So it's like the whole truck is the book. It's an interesting effect. I don't think I've seen that in many books, but I haven't looked at children's books in a long time. Speaking of children's books, since I'm talking about children's book, there is this one children's book that I really wish that I could find. It is a book that I read as a kid. It had the color, a lot of purple in it, and it was like some Chinese book. Well, it wasn't a Chinese book, it was an English book, but it was about China. It was about these like kites or these windsocks, and they were very beautifully illustrated. Like in this book, like I remember as a kid seeing it in Barnes & Noble, it was like $30. This was like one of those expensive illustrated children's books. It was like one of my favorite books of all time, but I could never find it ever again. The only thing I remember about it is that it has these beautifully illustrated windsocks, and the main character, who's a little kid who's like really fascinated with these windsocks, is a Chinese kid with a Chinese name that starts with the letter Y. I just remember that because I couldn't pronounce what his name was. I didn't know how I was supposed to pronounce it. I just remembered that it had a Y and a U and maybe a G and some other stuff afterwards, and I would always pronounce it wrong. But yeah, if anybody knows what book I'm talking about, if that's enough details for anybody to just let me know, because I really want to get a hold of that book. If only just to look at it again. I might not want to buy it or anything, but like, you know what, if I see it for sale, I will buy it. Because that's like a really precious memory of my childhood that I can't seem to find. The only way that I could think to find it now was where I first discovered it was in the library in my elementary school. And I wonder if I just went back to that elementary school, because I'm actually living in Washington right now, just went into that library and see if I could find it, because it might still be there. That might be the only way, because I don't know what it's called, and I don't know. I've tried searching for it on Google, but I can't find it. So anyways, I guess the Kokino Podcast has lasted a little longer than I meant it to last. Tonight, I meant to just talk about Roadbuilders, but there was nothing to say about Roadbuilders because it's a very simple concept. So now we have reached the end of this episode of the Kokino Podcast. I hope you have enjoyed it. And if you haven't enjoyed it, please let me know so I can improve my stuff. I want to get better at doing this podcasting thing, man. I got to get as good as I can, because that's the future, podcasting. Everybody's going to have their own podcast in the future. Got to get with the times. Anyways, I hope you all have a good day, and I hope you all have childhood memories as well. You know what? Let's open this up to the comments. If any of you have a childhood memory, like a childhood book that you really, really loved, leave a comment. Let me know what it was. Let me know what it was all about. Give me a link to like what it looked like, or tell me the title so I can look it up on Google and see if it looked cool. Anyways, that's all I gotta say tonight, folks. I mean today, folks, because it's morning. It's not night. I'm recording this at night, but it's morning for you guys. So have a good morning. I'll see you next time. Bye.